and they had it catered, and they had music, and they had a bartender, and they had valet for the parking. So that part they were doing all right. So today I was invited to a broker open house, meaning brokers like myself are invited to go preview a home that's for sale on the market. It was about a $2.6 million house at the south part of Charlotte, right on the border actually of South Carolina. And it was about a $2.6 million home. And when I pulled up, I actually thought I was at the wrong spot because I'd seen this place before. I didn't realize it was a house because it looks very industrial and a big playground out right-hand side of the house. I mean, like a childcare place. You wouldn't imagine that this was someone's house and how the playground area was, because it's awesome. So anyway, I realized I was at the right house, and so I pulled in. They had valet parking, and I go in. I meet the agent that invited me, and I'm invited to go preview the house. And here's some interesting things. Now, remember I said it was a $2.6 million. It's a very unique home, very taste specific. It's actually really cool. It's just that because it's taste specific, you have a smaller pool of buyers. And because you have a smaller pool of buyers, you have to really be thinking out a way of how you're going to target market that pool wherever they are. And they aren't necessarily in the Charlotte area. They could be anywhere in the United States. And fortunately for us here in Charlotte, we have people coming from all over the world to live in this particular area, which is great. However, I will say there's some things that need to be done and frank conversations that you have to have with your seller. I don't know if this agent did that or not. Sometimes your sellers, because this seller, I met him, nice guy, a builder, and he has built, I think he said 9 homes of this caliber, this price point, unique, but he designed this one for himself. So because he designed it for himself, he really went very taste specific for how he wanted it. I got the impression that he is a strong personality, which intimidates different realtors, and they don't necessarily want to do what you want them to do or suggest that they do. And of course, they are the boss, so they get to do it. But you also have the right to say, this may not work for me. He had originally started out the price point on this house at a little over $3 million. And he even said to me, he goes, I thought it was probably a little high to start with. And they listed it, this is June, and he listed it in December. And it's not selling. He said one offer, and it was a cash offer, but something fell apart on it. That's normal. But anyway, I think it kind of made him feel like he was in the ballpark of the price. So I don't know how strong the agent is. But anyway, I walked away from there thinking I would have had a pretty strong conversation prior to us doing the photographs and listing the house. Because here's what I noticed. Personal stuff everywhere. The pillows on the master bed were pictures of the little girls. So they were custom-made pillows. Cute, but not appropriate when you're trying to sell it. It's a distraction. All kinds of stuff everywhere. So it was really not show ready. So I would have wanted 50% of this house emptied out. And he has 2 little girls, very taste-specific bedrooms. Their names are done on the walls. Cool setup as far as the beds with a walk-up little stairs, kind of like a Pinterest thing that I've seen many times, where you could have like a little fort above it. Very cool. But in the bathroom, all your personal stuff's out. Every single bathroom was that way. So the office, there are multiple offices in there, very busy, full of all kinds of stuff. And then it's a 5-car garage. And the 3-car garage was fine. That's where they were actually doing the party. And they had it catered, and they had music, and they had a bartender, and they had valet for the parking. So that part they were doing all right. And above the 2-car garage, which was right next to it, it had like a guest house. And in that guest house, they were doing Airbnb, and he told me he was averaging around $4,000 a month for that. And it had a separate backyard for it, had a separate driveway for it coming up. And he said that was paying his mortgage, which was great, right? However, also when you drive by that house, it is an open book of what it is. I mean, you see the whole thing, and you don't know that it's a house. But if it were my house that I was trying to sell, I would want that completely secluded because it's a main drag, not a side street, a main drag. Lots of cars driving by all the time. And I would get those green giants, and I would spend the money to buy the bigger ones, and I would fill that whole front so that it created a sense of privacy. Because people that spend that kind of money don't necessarily want to be on a main drag, number one. And then if they're exposed, that's a number two, they don't like it. So there's a lot of little things going on there. The house is cluttered. It's ideally could be staged because it's very modern, and that's very attractive to a lot of people. That house, for somebody that has money and has little kids that would really like to spoil the daylights out of them, because that's one heck of a play area. That's going to be appealing. The beds are going to be appealing. All the bedrooms were small. It had a pool in the center of the house, yet the house was around it. So it was outside. So the whole house was built around the pool. That's pretty unique, pretty interesting. Not a huge pool either. So rooms were not big, not any of them, because of that design of it. And the seller did the whole design. Very proud of it, understandably. And it is a cool house. I'm not mocking the house. I'm just paying attention to the differences in who the buyer is, because as the agent, that's my job to figure out how I'm advising the seller of what we need to do to put our best foot forward. Now, buying those trees like that might cost $100,000. But you know what a price reduction is on a house like that? $50,000 to $100,000. So instead of chasing the price, I'd rather get myself set up much better, because the entrance is grand when you come in, and it would be really grand to come in around a gate where it opened into that beautiful front yard that it's got there, and go off to the side or go to the front. You've got choices. And I would also make that playground area a little more private from the front of the house. Obviously, the mom or the dad wants to be able to have full access to viewing the kids, but from the front of the house, you don't necessarily need that. And there's ways to do landscaping for that. So that's my point. I really have to dive in when you're an agent. Dive in to figure out what are all the things. When you have such a taste-specific home, you have to be very specific about how you're going to present that with its best foot forward. Hope that helps.